Today's edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPad and iPhone, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPad and iPhone, Text Expander Touch, and Disk Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. And by Take Control Books, the answers you need now from leading experts. Learn more and download yours at takecontrolbooks.com. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's time to welcome back yet another old friend who has something new to show us. This time, it's Mr. Dan Wood of Karelia Software, talking about some additions to the new version or new features or new capabilities of Sandvox. Dan, it's great to have you back. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be back. It's always fun to have a chat here.
And every time you show up, you show us something new. And I'm kind of excited to find out what's going on with Sandvox. It seems like, I was thinking about this before the interview. There was a time that everybody was trying to put up simple web pages, and you could do it with, I'm afraid I'm going to date myself, like with PageMill and some of those WYSIWYG editors, and they were great. They didn't generate the cleanest code, most of them, but they served the purpose at the time.
Right.
We sort of lost those along the way, and everything got very technical, and then we tried to get back to that. And Sandvox is one of those things that has gotten back to making web design approachable for pretty much everyone.
That's right. This was actually before Apple came out with iWeb. We realized there was a big itch that needed to be scratched, which was making websites as easy as it is to launch a word processor and create a document, drag in your images and your movies and that kind of thing. And so that we launched in 2006, and it's been a big success. iWeb was out there for a while as a competitor, but then a lot of people stopped using iWeb because Apple sort of left that by the wayside. And so a lot of people actually who used to use iWeb have now switched over to Sandbox. And our whole goal was to provide an experience building a website that just, you didn't have to be technical. If you're building a website for a personal website or a website for your family or a small business, you probably don't want to have to deal with learning about HTML and all the complexities of that. You just want to, type in your content, do your blogging, do your photo albums, that kind of thing, without having to worry about all the technical details there.
And I mean, that's just it. You mentioned iWeb, and of course there were folks that were very much invested in iWeb, and then it went away. One of the challenges for this class of software seems to be that you try to keep the simplicity, but the world keeps getting more complex. And then people say, well, gee, I've seen that over there, and I'd really like to do it, but I don't want to learn PHP.
Right, and in fact, a lot of Sandbox has really evolved since we created it initially. I mean, one of the things we had the concept of plugins, little modules that you might put under the sidebar or something like that bridge between your website and content out in the web somewhere, like maybe a Facebook or Twitter or photo feed you might have from Flickr, or maybe an RSS feed from some news source, and you want to kind of bring all this into your website so that it's sort of a hub of information, and so that it's not really just sitting there like a catalog or some static document. And so we found that we were able to do that. We've been adding more and more of these over the years. And as new services come and go, sometimes there'll, so for instance, Vimeo, we added because it became a big player along with YouTube for people to embed videos. So it's been an interesting journey because we're making it so that people can make these fairly complicated websites. Not the kind of website that if you were a company with 50 people in your own IT department, that you're probably going to have something specialized for that. But if you're if you're running a club, or you have a bakery or a church or your family or something like that, these are a lot of really good examples of people that are probably just going to want to build a website and not have to go through the process of learning all the technical details.
On the extensibility part, you talked about adding Vimeo and YouTube. That's got to be a bit of a challenge because there's so many new services that keep coming out, and of course everyone has their favorites, and I'm sure it's really difficult for you to say, well, this one deserves our attention but that one doesn't, because that that last one just generates lots of angry email from people.
Right. Well, there's always an escape hatch. I mean, just about any service that wants its content to be embedded in other websites will provide a little embed code kind of a thing, and it'll say, take this chunk of HTML and put it into your website. Well, so what we have in Sandbox is we have something called a raw HTML object, and it can just really a container for anything. So yes, it's more convenient to bring in something from YouTube or Vimeo because you just drag in the URL and it goes, oh yeah, I recognize this. Let me make the plugin for you. But if you were to bring in a video from I don't know, Dailymotion or something like that, that's not necessarily the top tier, you can pull out that bit of content and a little bit of HTML there and make sure that put that into Sandbox. So yeah, there is really an option. If there's something that Sandbox doesn't directly support, there's still a good chance you can probably do it. And the nice thing is that you don't have to understand what the HTML is that you're being given. If they say, here's this block of HTML and it can be completely, it can be Greek to you, but paste it into the window in Sandbox and it'll do the right thing. So that's kind of nice.
Today I want to tell you about PDF Pen, but not the PDF Pen you've known before. PDF Pen has just been revved to version 7 and brings with it all sorts of great new capabilities to make you even more productive when it comes to dealing with your PDFs. There's a new, viewable optical character recognition text layer for proofing OCR text from scanned pages. I'm still a little surprised at the number of times I get in documents via paper rather than email or file transfer, and that's why this is such a great feature. OCR is great, and PDF Pen's OCR delivers a high degree of accuracy, but there always seem to be those one or two specialized terms that are used in one profession or another that it doesn't always get right. This new text layer lets you make quick work of proofreading and correcting those kinds of errors so that your PDF file is accurate. There's also a new way to sign PDF forms via interactive signature fields. No, this isn't another take on digital signatures. It's a brand new feature that you're going to love and find very useful. Smile has also added context-sensitive pop-up menus to, again, help you get the edits done faster. And because they want to stay as current as possible in the ever-changing, ever-evolving Apple universe, PDF Pen 7 now supports iCloud Drive and iOS 8 and Yosemite. That means that sharing your documents across platforms so they're always at your command just became that much easier. Want more? Step up to PDF Pen Pro 7 and you get all that, plus the ability to export PDFs to Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, and PDF archive formats. And of course, that also means you can send them to Apple's Pages and Keynote too. Convert entire websites to multi-page PDFs with the hyperlinks intact, create and edit document tables of contents. There's lots more. Philip Gallard of Smile was my guest on MacVoices 15054, and he told us all about it, along with how the interface has been revamped and more. Check it out for all the details, and then check out PDF Pen 7 or PDF Pen Pro 7 on the Smile website at smilesoftware.com. You're going to be able to do things with PDFs that you didn't think possible, and you're going to love it. That's Smile Software to pick up the new PDF Pen 7 and PDF Pen Pro 7. Smile, the makers of world-class software, and they've done it again. Thanks to Smile for being the longest-running sponsor of MacVoices. So that's a very brief update on Sandbox, or what it was. Now it's becoming something a little bit more, and that's, of course, why we're here, to find out what that more is.
Well, so what we've just announced is Sandbox Hosting. And let's think about the purpose of Sandbox was to make building a website really, really easy for people and don't have to get all technical. The problem that we found over the years is that just about all of the web hosting solutions that you have out there, those are made for really more technical people. And so even the best companies that we really like, there's a company, A2 Hosting in Michigan, that we send a lot of people to, and we love them. And they have a lot of great, powerful features, so that if you're going to be really pushing the limits of what Sandbox can do and want to do some stuff with server side, PHP or those kinds of things that aren't what most of our people are going to be needing, that's great. We'll send them over to A2 Hosting. But these kinds of web hosts are very generic, and they're set up for just really kind of any service that might be publishing there. And so when you sign up, you're going to get this email with just line after line after line of server address and FTP servers and ports and usernames and passwords, and then separate usernames and passwords for your cPanel, which is like a general purpose control panel. And most people sign into these things and just say, "Whoa, there's too much here. I just want to publish a simple website." And we were also kind of inspired by what we used to have with Mobile Me, and that Apple has now taken away, which was the ability to publish a website just by sort of saying, "Yeah, publish it to my Mobile Me account," and there it is. And so ever since Mobile Me's been gone, really the only option people have had up until now is they're going to have to go out to one of these traditional web hosts, whether it be A2 Hosting or GoDaddy or DreamHost or many of the hundreds and hundreds out there, and sign up and pay their money and hope that they get all the information they need, and then plug this information into Sandbox. And in Sandbox, we do a pretty good job of testing, making sure that, okay, this is what you told us. Let's make sure that it really works. Okay, yes, we'll upload a test file to the server, then download it, make sure the round trip was good. So we try to make it as easy as we can, but it's still kind of a hassle for the average person. So we said, let's just see if we can reinvent this whole concept, and that's where we came up with Sandbox Hosting. And this is a solution for hosting that's just really integrated directly into Sandbox. We are not requiring Sandbox hosting to be used. I mean, if you have a host already, or if you've been using Sandbox already, or if you're new to Sandbox but you really want to use one of the traditional hosts and you're willing to go through the hassle, or the challenge, we'll call it that, of finding and typing in the correct server information and the correct path to where your documents are going to live and all that. That's great. You can still do that. But with Sandbox Hosting, the idea is that tell us your name, your email address, make up a password, give us a temporary, or it can actually be permanent if you want, name. It's going to be a sandbox.net website domain, and then later you can switch into your own custom domain if you want. And just type that stuff in and say sign me up and hit publish, and you're on the web. That's something I can show you here. It's really, really simple.
Okay, so let's do that first. Let's look a little bit, and then I'll ask some questions if you haven't already covered them.
Sure.
So you're going to show us the Sandbox Hosting.
Right. So the Sandbox Hosting requires the newly released version of Sandbox called Sandbox 2.10. Okay, so I've just launched Sandbox here, and we're looking at a document, and this is for some sample content that we have for a Chinese restaurant that's fairly close to where I live, and called Renee's Place. And as you can see here, you're looking over in the main section over here at the really, it's a what you see is what you get kind of a preview. It's actually showing you the same content that you would be seeing in Safari. It's using the same rendering engine, but so change your text, adjust your graphics, and so on. Over here on the site Navigator on the left is just a way of seeing the content of your website that I've built up. And so for people who've used Sandbox before, this is obviously going to be just a review, but I wanted to make sure that in case people hadn't seen Sandbox, that they're familiar with that. The step that's really important, and what's the new thing here in the Sandbox 2.10, is the updated host setup assistant. So if I click here, you'll see that up at the top there are really two main choices. One is Sandbox Hosting, and the other, alternate hosting, is where if you have a traditional provider and you want to get the information from them and plug that in, that'll work fine. But what we're going to do is show you Sandbox Hosting now. So let's go ahead and just sign up for an account. Notice this is a free 14-day trial account. When we were looking around at the different hosting platforms out there, we really noticed right off the bat that almost everything is where you have to pay for it first and hope that it works. And we wanted people to be able to see how amazingly easy it was to get their website set up. So we said, let's give people a trial account. They can set up an account, get it published, take a look at it, share it with people, and so on. And then if they like it, then they can turn it into a real account. So here we are in Sandbox 2.10, and I'm just going to give a temporary email address here that's going to be specifically for Renee's place. We'll just imagine that I'm the person who sets up her website. And if I can just type everything in correctly. And so for a password, Sandbox actually does something very similar to what Safari, new versions of Safari does, is it will suggest a really strong, secure password for you. Obviously, don't use this one again because now it's going to be seen. But each time I go here, it would generate a different password for me. We also have a nice signal strength meter, so that if you try to type in a bad password or a mediocre password, it'll warn you that you probably want to do something a little better. And then the last part is setting up a subdomain, and so that way you don't have to go through the hassle of buying a domain name and so on up front. You can always add that later. So we'll just call this, let's get the 2 E's in there. And so this subdomain is available. And we think some people will probably want to actually keep the sandbox.net. There are some other website communities like Tumblr and so on where that just becomes their main website address, and that's fine. But I know a lot of people really like to have a .com or a .org address, and we can handle that too. So let's click the sign up button. And so this is just taking a few seconds and communicating to the servers, getting everything set up. And here we are. So we are now signed in, and we're ready to publish here. It's just telling us that we have 14 days to try this out, and we can always get more information about that. So going back to the website, now all I need to do is just press publish. And it's just going to figure out what needs to be uploaded. In this case, it's going to have to upload the whole website. Once you've uploaded the whole website, if you make a change to something, then it's only going to upload the parts that need to be re-uploaded again because they've changed somehow.
So while it's uploading, I want to be clear on this. I can construct my new website in Karelia Sandbox before I even have to choose my provider. So I can be doing the work and not necessarily paying the fee or using up my 14-day free trial.
Absolutely right. So if you have Sandbox, and that's fine, even if you're using the demo version of Sandbox that you can download directly from our website. Try it. So you could be actually evaluating Sandbox for yourself to see if that's the tool you want, and evaluating the hosting. You could be doing both of them, but not necessarily. You could evaluate one and then the other, or maybe at the same time. You just want to see what the whole solution is. Sandbox is available on the Mac App Store as well.
Okay. Dan, you mentioned going to my own domain. So let's say I'm Renee, and I tried this out and I really like it, but I want reneesplace.com. Can you handle that as a registrar, or are you going to send me to Hover or somewhere else to register it and then come back and make me jump through those hoops?
Oh, we don't want to make you jump through any extra hoops. We actually will handle that as a registrar as well, and I can show you that in a moment. In fact.
Okay.
Let's just get this. We're almost at the end here. A few last little images to upload.
Renee's Place has a lot of options, apparently.
Right. Okay. So that's all finished. And now what I can do is actually just take a look at this on the internet. So let's go visit Publish Site from the Publish menu. And there it is, reneesplace.sandbox.net. And there's the website that we just built. And it looks a lot like it did in Sandbox because, as I mentioned, it's using the same, Safari and Sandbox are using the same internal engine. So to answer your question, if you did indeed want to set up a custom domain name, let's actually go over to sandboxhosting.com and take a look what we have here. And so here's our general information. People can certainly go to sandboxhosting.com and take a look at how the whole thing works. There's a frequently asked questions. If you have questions, we have answers for you. So let's see if we can get this automatically filled in from the keychain. Okay, so we're signed in successfully. Because we have set up a trial account, this is just going to tell us that, yeah, you have 14 days left. And these are our hosting plans that we offer. So if you just want to get your toe in the water, you can stay with the sandbox.net address and pay on a monthly basis, $7.99 per month, and enough for a decently sized website. We think most people are probably going to go with the single plan to get them where they can have one domain. And in fact, the single plan it includes domain name registration. And the thing we're doing with the domain name registrations is actually we're throwing in the privacy protection as well, just because it just seems strange to have to pay extra for that when it's just something that everybody ought to be able to have and not have to get spammed by people just because you have a domain name that's registered. The Internic, the registrar of domain names, is very strict about making sure you use a real phone number and real address and real mail address. And so you don't want to expose that to marketers. I sure don't. So this is the pricing for the single plan, for instance, $99 a year, which includes one free domain name registration as part of that. That we feel is just kind of right in the middle of price ranges as far as what it might cost, compared to other competitors. But of course, one thing that we do have the other competitors don't have is just that incredible ease of use of getting yourself signed up and so on without having to go through the technical hoops. So we think a lot of people, some of our early testers have already jumped onto the bandwagon. They're really enjoying it. So what I'd like to do actually is switch over to show you a little bit more. You asked about custom domain names. I want to do what they do on cooking shows, where they take the cake already made out of the oven, waiting for them.
Dan, before you go though, while this
Sure.
is still on screen, I do want to point out the rates here. You've got 5 gigs of storage for the single, 10 gigabyte per month data transfer. The same thing, you got 45 gig per month data transfer on the multi with 10 gig storage. 15 gig storage is 75 gig per month data transfer. Those seem like possibly attractive things for, say, an audio podcaster.
Do you know any people like that?
One or two, maybe. So
Yeah.
what does the process say of publishing the podcast file, really? And I'm not talking about the logistics here, but is that something that you are actively supporting?
Sandbox does have blogging and podcasting and all that, and it's a little bit automatic in the sense where if you create a blog and that blog has an attached video or audio, that just automatically becomes part of the podcast feed. So it's there's not that much to say, just because it's very simple.
Okay, good. Before we left that screen, I want to make sure that we point that out so that if folks are interested, this is a great option to get your website, your domain, your podcasting, everything all rolled into one, right, in one package.
Right. Yeah, we picked numbers that we thought would be plenty of room for most people's uses. And certainly there will always be someone who's really, really pushing the limits and finding that they're running low on space because they're trying to put up a huge library of videos or something like that. But for most people who have a reasonable number of videos, plenty of photos, this is actually quite a bit of storage and data transfer that I think most people will be happy with.
Yeah, it's no hard trick to find lots of data storage. It's the data transfer that will kill you. So those look like very nice packages. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go right on with the custom domain. Okay,
so let's take the cake out of the oven here and scroll down here on the Sites tab. And so, for instance, one of my websites that I've set up as a personal website for me, I happen to have some beehives in my backyard, and the bees are generous enough to give us some very delicious honey. So I made a website here called Sweet Home Alameda that is built with Sandbox and then hosted with Sandbox Hosting. So if I click over here, and it'll take us. Looks like I need to reload. Let's try that one more. So, and action. So if I click over here, and it'll take me to the Sweet Home Alameda website. And just a quick little glimpse here. But as you can see, we have sweethomealameda.com as a custom domain, and that's managed through Sandbox Hosting. And I've also set up another domain name called alamedahoney.com. And it serves as an alias in case somebody were to type in alamedahoney.com into the browser. It would immediately take them to the real website. And below, you can actually see we have the original domain that I set up with when I set up a demo account. So I had set up sweethomealameda.sandbox.net. And the nice thing is that if you set up a demo account and you give out that address to people and they bookmark that, even after you've set up a real custom domain name, that bookmark will take them to now your new custom domain. And so you can either purchase the domain name through us, or if you have the domain name registered somewhere else, you can transfer that registration to us, or you can actually leave it where it's registered as long as you need. And then you just need to essentially tell the registrar where it's kept, where to find the website with the Sandbox hosting set up. And it's pretty easy. We make it pretty easy for you. So I can show you a little bit more. So if you happen to have a custom domain, it's very likely that besides using it for a website, you might also want to get email at that domain. And so we've set that up over here in the Mail tab here. So what we're doing, we're not going in the business of becoming an email provider like Gmail or one of those large kinds of things like that. We figured most people already have an email set up, whether it be with AOL or their own internet provider or Gmail or Yahoo or any of those. And so the way to make this really, really nice is to set up a forwarding address. So I have it so that I can, someone can email Dan at sweethomealameda.com and it'll actually go to my regular personal address. And you can set that up depending on your plan. You have a number of different mail forwards. So the multi-plan, you have 50 mail forwards, plenty. If you had probably way more than you would use even if you had a pretty decent sized organization.
Dan, I'm pretty impressed. For someone that says he's not getting in the hosting business, you seem to have a pretty fully featured hosting system here for a large percentage of the folks who are going to want to put up a website for their Beehive or Sweet Home Alameda or their restaurant or their small business. I mean, exactly. You obviously are not going to be attracting the Fortune 500 folks, but you've got a lot of features here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely in the hosting business, and this is, I do want to point out, this is just for Sandbox users. So if you're not using Sandbox as your website creation tool, if you're typing on the HTML yourself or you're using some other sort of a system, then this is not for you. But certainly if you are using Sandbox, then this is the way to go, and we're trying to make it just as easy as possible.
And you do have, with Sandbox, you do have the option of digging into the HTML a little bit. You mentioned the HTML containers earlier. So you can get down and do a little bit of coding stuff if you want to, or if there's a real honest-to-God need. But for most of the things that you want to do, you're never going to have to see any of that. You're just going to create the website the way you want it and publish it.
Right. Yeah. We don't think that, we think that most of our users are going to be perfectly fine with what this has to offer. And if they are doing something that's really sophisticated, that's going to need something special on the server, that's great. Use one of the traditional hosts, and we won't be sad.
Dan, how about the dirty little thing of technical support? When everything works great, it works great. But when it doesn't, then you need somebody to call. How are you set up for that?
We have really responsive technical support, and it's there's a link always on every page of our Sandbox hosting site, and you can also contact us directly from Sandbox as well. We're pretty darn responsive. We've had a lot of compliments about our speedy support.
Great. Okay, so we know what the hosting will cost us because we looked at that depending on the package. What does the new version of Sandbox cost us to get into this?
So the new 2.10 version of Sandbox is a free upgrade if you already have Sandbox. So just if you have Sandbox already, just update directly from Sandbox, or just go to sandbox.com and download a new fresh version. And If you're just getting started, it's $79.99, and it's available from the Mac App Store and as well from the sandbox.com website. If you get it directly from us, you have that ability, as I mentioned, to try it out for basically you can create a small website of a few pages, and then once you get past, I think it's 5 pages, then you'll need to actually purchase a full license to get more than just 5 pages.
I should have asked this when we had the other screen up, but it was sort of implied by what we were seeing. But for the audio listeners, those bandwidth and storage listings, those are shared among that one account. So if I have 5 websites, and I don't get that much storage or that much bandwidth for each one. That's just for that account.
Right. So if you have 5 websites and one of them is really big and really popular, and the other 4 are not really big and not really popular, that total is going to apply to the aggregate of everything. So there's plenty, that gives you the opportunity for that one popular site to use up more than one fraction of your total.
This feels like a really nice solution. In some ways, it's similar to what iWeb was when it was mature in so many ways. So it feels a lot better, a lot more fully featured.
Well, we think so. I mean, we found that when iWeb came out that it seemed like even though iWeb and Sandbox came out at roughly the same time, and they hadn't, neither development team had seen each other's work. It was interesting how, as iWeb continued, I noticed that they started adding plugins and a few things that was kind of familiar with what we had in Sandbox. But Sandbox always tended to have a lot more sophisticated abilities. It didn't quite have that as much of a glass ceiling as iWeb did.
Well, you've got a pretty dedicated team, and Sandbox is I always hesitate to say mature product because that sounds like it's too far gone or something. But it's a very fully featured modern product that you've kept up and kept improving. Right.
It's always evolving, and I think that it really you get a sense of what kind of people are using it. Actually, if we could go back to the screen for a minute.
Yeah, please.
We have a really handy website here that I like to show off called Sandbox Sites, and this is a gallery where users have submitted their own proud contributions, and these get moderated and so on. It's a fun way to just get a sense of what other people are using Sandbox for, and the variety of what their sites look like. One of my favorite features, if I scroll down here a little bit, is we have a tag cloud, and people can just type in whatever keywords they want that describe their website, and the more popular words get a little bit bigger treatment here. So you can see, for instance, that a lot of people in music and photography tend to use Sandbox, maybe to show off galleries of their photos or demos of their songs and so on. But it's really kind of fun just to look through here and see what people are using it for, education and travel and weddings and videos and painting and all kinds of stuff like that.
And folks, I would encourage you to go and check that site out before probably you do anything else. It'll give you an idea that Sandbox doesn't create websites that all look alike. They're very different. They're customized to the way that their owners want them. So it's not a cookie cutter approach.
Right. Yeah. Sandbox comes with about 60 different designs out of the box, and then there are actually quite a few third-party designers that have come up with their own approaches of things that they think would taking Sandbox and the look of pages and directions that we hadn't necessarily envisioned, and then once you've set up a design, then there's still the opportunity for some customizing where maybe someone might want to use a particular banner or some sort of banner or font choices or something that is closer to their vision of what their website should be.
Dan, it looks like a really nice, solid update to Sandbox with a lot of new features, and again, just that the ease of use with Sandbox. Now you've applied to the hosting part of it, so that it's in no time I can build a site I like, get it up on the web, and then, as you said before, when you're demoing it, the updates to the site itself are incremental. So if the menu changes at Renee's place, they can do an update and have it pushed up in no time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't want to. I think a lot of people don't want to have to wait for some other consultant website creator to actually update their site for them when they just have something really quick that they want to do. And it's the original point of Sandbox was removing those hurdles to building your site. And I think now that we have the hosting built in, that's just another hurdle that we've gotten rid of, and people can go from the idea to having a live website very, very quickly.
So it's available on the Mac App Store, but you can also go to Karelia.com and download a demo, correct?
Exactly. Download Sandbox. The new version that you'd be downloading that you'll find on the website today is version 2.10, which includes the hosting, and that hosting is integrated from within Sandbox, and it's optimized for Sandbox, really.
Great. Dan, it's great to see you. Thanks for showing all this off. Congratulations on yet another great iteration of Sandbox.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful journey to get here. We're very excited about it.
We'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Thank you for joining us. Please follow me on Twitter at Chuck Joyner, or there's also a show account at MacVoices if you just want the show announcements. Please go check out Karelia and Sandbox. I think you're going to like it. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the MacVoices blog. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date on all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at MacVoices.com/newsletter. Do more with your Apple tech by subscribing to the free MacVoices magazine on Flipboard by visiting MacVoices.com/magazine. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.